Good morning, children. Welcome to State Vidya Mandir English High School CBSE Board online audio video lessons. Unit 7 Fair Play. Has your best friend ever done something wrong and like your friend did something and you found it to be wrong? So what did you do then? Did you keep quiet or did you told your friend that, hey, listen, this thing that you did, it was wrong? So the story is about two friends who had to decide what was important, friendship or the sense of knowing what is right. Part 1. Juman Sheikh and Algu Chaudhary were good friends. So strong was their bond of friendship that when either of them went away from the village, the other looked after his family. Both were greatly respected in the village. Juman had an old aunt who had some property. This she transferred to him on the understanding that she would stay with him and he would look after her. The arrangement worked well for a couple of years. Then the situation started to change. Juman and his family were tired of the old relative. Juman became as indifferent to her as his wife, who grudged even the little food that the old lady wanted every day. She swallowed these insults along with her food for a few months. Over here, we see that two friends, Juman and Algu, they are famous in their village for their friendship. The bond that they share with one another was very strong, and both of them were respected by everyone in the village. Now, Juman had an old aunt who had some property. So, the aunt she transferred the property to him on understanding that when she gets old, he would look after her and would take very nice care of her. This arrangement worked good for them only for 2 years. Then, slowly and gradually, the relationship between them started deteriorating. Juman and his family were tired of the aunt. Juman became indifferent as in he changed. He lost interest in her. He didn't want to take care of her. And Juman's wife, she had grudges with the old lady, and she didn't like that Juman was feeding her, and she used to insult his old aunt several times a day. The old aunt, she said nothing, but she tolerated all these insults. But patience has its limits. One day she spoke to Juman, "My son, it is not obvious that I am not wanted in your house. Kindly give me a monthly allowance so that I can set up a separate kitchen." Over here, when the old lady, she was tolerating all of the insults, so it was quite clear to her that her presence is not very well appreciated in this house. So she asked Juman to give her money for 1 month so that she can set up a separate kitchen for her where she can cook her own food. "My wife knows best how to run the house. Be patient," said Juman shamelessly. This made his aunt very angry and she decided to take her case to the village panchayat. For many days, the old lady was seen talking to the villagers, explaining her case and seeking support. Some sympathized with her, some laughed at her, when, while few others they advised her to make it up with her nephew and his wife. So over here, when the old aunt, she is asking Juman for some money to build her own kitchen, Juman says that my wife is the best and she knows very well how to run the house. The old aunt, she felt very bad and she now took a brave decision to bring this matter to the village panchayat. So as she was talking with villagers, there were few people who supported her. Few sympathized her. They said that it's okay, this happens with everyone. Few people, they laughed at her. They laughed at her misery. And few others, they asked her to make good terms with her nephew and his wife. At last, she came to Algu Chaudhary and spoke to him. You know, Chachi, Juman is my best friend. How can I go against him? Algu said. But is it right, my son, to keep mum and not say what you consider just and fair? Pleaded the old lady. Come to the panchayat and speak the truth, she said. Algu didn't reply, but her words kept ringing in her ears. So one day she goes to Juman's best friend, Algu, and she tells him that, Juman is not very well behaving with me and his wife keeps insulting me. To which Algu says that it is not my place to speak in your personal matters, na? So the old lady, she gets disappointed and she says that when you know the things are wrong, you must speak about it and not be quiet. Keep mum means to be quiet, do not say anything. Come to the panchayat and speak the truth, she said. Algu then replied that her reaction was nothing, but in her head she believed that the old aunt is right, whereas his best friend Juman is doing wrong things. Part 2. The panchayat was held the same evening under an old banyan tree. Juman stood up and said, the voice of the Panch is the voice of Lord. Let my aunt nominate the head Panch. I will abide by her decision. The Panch knows neither friend nor enemy. What do you say to Algu Chaudhary? The old lady announced. So one evening, all the people gathered under an old banyan tree and the panchayat started. The old lady there said that whatever the Panch's decision is, it will always be right, and his words would be the voice of God. And the Panch, he is neither friendly nor an enemy to anyone. Fine, replied Juman, hiding his joy over this unexpected piece of luck. Chachi, you are aware of my friendship with Juman, said Algu. So over here, Juman, he is best friends with the Punch, right? So he thought that Algu will support him and not his aunt. I know that, but I also know that you will not kill your conscience for the sake of friendship. God lives in the heart of the Punch and his voice is the voice of God. And the old lady then explained her case. So over here, when Algu, he says to the aunt that he is very good friends with his nephew, to which the old aunt, she replies, I know that you both share a very great bond, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't differentiate between what's right and wrong, right? You must always support things which you find right. And your voice is the voice of God. Algu said, Juman, You and I are old friends. Your aunt is as dear to me as you. Now I am a punch. You and your aunt are equal before me. What have you to say in your defense? So, upon explaining her case, the old lady she then sits down. Algu then comes up and he says, Juman, you and I are best friends and I love your aunt as much as you do. But now I am a punch. So you both are equal for me. My decisions would not be based on our friendship. And then he asked Juman to say what he has to say in his defense. Juman began, 3 years ago, my aunt transferred her property to me. I promised to support her as long as she lived. I have done all I could. There have been a couple of quarrels between my wife and her, but I can't stop it. Now my aunt is claiming a monthly allowance from me. This is not possible. That's all I have to say. So Juman in his defense, he says that my aunt she transferred her property to me 3 years ago. But there have been a couple of arguments between my wife and her. And now my aunt she expects me to give her monthly allowance, monthly income, which is not possible for me. This is all that Juman had to say. Juman was cross-examined by Algo and others. So the other people they also cross-questioned Juman. Then Algo announced, "We have gone into the matter carefully. In our opinion, Juman must pay his aunt a monthly allowance or else the property that it will go back to her." Now the two friends were seldom seen together. Seldom means rarely. The bond of friendship between them was broken. In fact, Juman was Algo's enemy and wanted his revenge. So when the panchayat made a decision for the aunt, they told Juman that we have decided that you must pay your aunt monthly income or else the property that she gave to you 3 years ago will again go to her. So Juman was very disappointed with Algu as he expected him to be in his favor. Their friendship was broken and now Juman he considered Algu to be his enemy and now he wanted revenge.